so welcome back to Lex Reads. So in today's video, I wanted to dedicate books by Black authors that are in the editions of the Penguin Classic. I absolutely adore these editions. Every time I get a chance to, buy one, I do, because I'm just so obsessed with those editions. And I wanted to share with you guys some of them. I have a slew of them, but my main focus for this video is obviously going to be, by Black authors. So yeah, let's get started. So the first one I have is Claude McKay, Romance in Marseille. This was just fantastic. I adore this book. I adore this author. I mean, it's Claude McKay. You guys know my favorite genre is Harlem Renaissance. And I think this is one reason why I fell in love with this, with these editions. Not only because of the simplistic of the black and the orange. I just love the way it looks. But the fact that this book, came out in the 1920s, 1930s, and it wasn't reissued until 2020. And when you think about that, it's like, my goodness. So his works were just lost. Claude McKay is known for his poetry, but he was a brilliant fiction writer. And I love it. So yeah, this was probably my first one that I picked up. Next is another Harlem Renaissance writer, and this is Nella Larsen, Passing. Now, I have this edition because recently when the movie came out, Penguin Classic reissued Passing. So I have this version, which I am probably going to get the other one because just to have it. What can you say about Nella Larsen? This story is just, it's unbelievable. When I read the story, I was flabbergasted because this is a story where after you read it, you have to go back and read some passages, especially towards the end, because this is a perfect example of the tragic mulatto. Her writing was just brilliant. And sadly, Nella Larsen only wrote 2 books and 4 short stories because she was accused of plagiarism. And of course she didn't do it. And her thing is, you know what? I'm done with that. So I'm going to go back to my first career, which is nursing. And she just stopped writing, which it just breaks my heart because that woman could tell a story. And if you read Passing in her first book, Quicksand, unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Yeah. Next is Elizabeth Kingsley, Behind the Scenes, or 30 Years a Slave and 4 Years in the White House. This was fantastic. I don't read nonfiction because I always say I'm so bored. This didn't read like nonfiction. The reason why I love this, well, let me tell you who Elizabeth Kingsley was. Elizabeth Kingsley was a seamstress. She also was the confidant and friend of Mary Todd Lincoln. Now, Mary Todd Lincoln, she struggled with mental illness. She would probably be diagnosed today as bipolar. And when her husband was assassinated, Abraham Lincoln, Elizabeth really just became even more of a friend. She moved in with her. She was a person that she trusted. And obviously she, was her seamstress. So most of the pictures that are photographed of Mary Todd Lincoln, Elizabeth Kingsley is the one that, made the dresses, designed the dresses. Now, when this book came out, she was basically excommunicated from, the Lincolns and from their family because they felt like that she was airing out their dirty laundry. People knew, probably in the circles that Mary Todd Lincoln struggled with depression, but that just wasn't, that wasn't talked about. And her son, Mary's son, Robert, actually stopped publication because, again, he didn't want, anyone to know about just the ins and outs of the Lincoln household because she just didn't talk about Mary, Todd Lincoln. She talked about Abraham, but it wasn't, vicious or malicious. It wasn't like that. She just was giving her perspective. But of course they didn't like that. So it was out of print. But the good thing is, Penguin Classic Edition, they have this. So I would urge you guys to really read this. Like I stated, it didn't read like a nonfiction. You got so much insight, and I adore this story. Next is Paul Laurence Dunbar Selected Poems. Now, this is a gem. I fell in love with poetry because of Paul Laurence Dunbar. I always didn't like poetry because I felt like I couldn't understand them. But after reading this, I just was amazed. My favorite poem by him is probably called A Negro Love Song. I love that whole thing that he does. I mean, this man could write. And also, if you know anything about Maya Angelou, she loved Paul Laurence Dunbar, and I Know the Caged Bird Sings is actually a stanza in one of his poems. So that just made me love it even more. But yeah, great. Next is The Narratives of Sojourner Truth. Now, I haven't read this, but of course, obviously I want to pick it up because I don't know a lot about Sojourner Truth. I just know bits and pieces. But I am so excited to read this. I really only know what's the speech, Ain't I a Woman? That's really the only thing I know about her, which is sad. But this is gonna help me. It's gonna be a stepping stone. So yeah. Next is James Weldon Johnson, God's Tombstones. This is 7 Negro sermons and verses. Now, this man was brilliant. James Weldon Johnson was the first, Black leader of the NAACP. He also was the songwriter of Lift Up Your Voice and Sing, which is, like our Black national anthem. And he was also a part of the Harlem Renaissance, which is a bonus for me. So when, again, I saw this, had to snap it up. And also, I have the autobiography of James Weldon Johnson called Along This Way. Sadly, he was actually killed in a really bad car accident. So yeah, but we have his works. He's also known for a book called The Ex-Colored Man. And I love this cover. This is actually a picture of him. He was such a handsome man. Next, I'm going to butcher his name. I think you say it like Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He is a Kenyan author. I have never read him. I wanted to get into this because when I got back into reading, African literature was where I started. And like I always say, they are fantastic storytellers. And I know this is going to be brilliant. So I know this is like a coming of age story, like a boys will be boys type of book. So I am excited. And also too, it's not that long. It's only 144 pages. So yeah. And lastly, this is my favorite. This is just, you have to get this one. Out of all of these, editions, I would say this last one, please get. This is the Portable 19th Century African American Women Writers. And this is edited by Henry Louis Gates Jr. This is beyond amazing. This has stories. It has short stories, it has essays, it has critical analysis, it has poetry, I mean, everything. And they're by Black authors. And of course, they're by Black authors that no one really talks about. When I saw this, I had to snatch it up. You have stories by Harriet Jacobs, Sojourner Truth, Hannah Crafts, who else? It says the Fisk Jubilee Singers. I mean, just everything. And like I said, this is almost, it feels and reads like an anthology. This has so much information. It's amazing. And I think while reading this, it was like bittersweet because we have so many Black writers out here, women writers. And a lot of times they're just not recognized. They're not praised. And it's the same Black women authors. We got to get past Maya and Toni and Alice. There is more, okay? And those authors are brilliant. I mean, come on now. But there's more women authors, and this is such a gem. Like I stated, guys, pick this up. You will not regret it. So, yeah, guys, that's all I have for you. yeah, I just wanted to share with you my love for Penguin Classic Editions. Like I said it before, I just love that, you know, simplistic black and orange cover. It's brilliant. So yeah, that's all I have for you. And I'll be back with more black books. Bye.